Welcome into Drew Silly Diamonds for Friday, February 28, 2025. I am Drew Martin, breaking down the slate of college basketball action. Let me know in the comments below where you agree, where you disagree. All is welcome. Your picks for tonight, for this weekend, helps grow the show, guys. Smash that like button if you're liking the content. As we got first game up, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific on Fox, nationally televised game. We are heading to Mackey Arena, West Lafayette, Indiana, for the Big Ten Conference clash between UCLA and Purdue. We're seeing the Boilermakers minus 5-point home favorites, 141 being the total. UCLA comes in 20-8 on the season, 11-6 in the Big Ten. Purdue also 11-6 in the conference, 19-9 on the year overall. Head coach Fran McCaffery's team has lost 4 straight games, 2 of top 3 slowest offenses in the Big Ten. That is the Purdue Boilermakers. It's kind of different than years past with Purdue. They're playing a slower brand of basketball. And sure enough, they've had 65 or less possessions in their last 3 games. That kind of proves the point. They're looking to kind of run a little bit of clock, try to play a little bit better defense. And they're up against UCLA here. The Bruins have only scored 64 and 69 points in their last 2 games. So sub 70 points here for Mick Cronin's squad. They've actually played 13 straight games with 70 or less possessions. Their point guard, Sebastian Mack, he was held under 15 points in the last 9 games. If he's not scoring for UCLA, they're not going to be putting up high point totals, in my opinion. And in that 13-game streak of sub 70 possessions, that includes teams like USC, Illinois, Penn State, Wisconsin, all teams that look to go up tempo. Now they're going up against Purdue here, who's going to be fine slowing it down, particularly at home, guys. 141. I know it's not a large total by any means in today's college basketball, but I don't think we get there. I think we stay in the 120s, 130s here. We're going under 141 to tip off the weekend here, UCLA and Purdue. We got 1 game left. It will be Nevada and UNLV, but first a reminder, if you could comment below, does help out grow the show, the algorithm, smashing that like button. Premium picks available, WagerTalk.com. Experts page, Drew Martin. We do have some questions here from the past week, a bunch of them actually, so try to get it through as many as possible here. Some good ones. Yesterday's show had David Montgomery, VIP. Shout out to you, David. Thanks for always chiming in. He's talking about, in basketball, both in college basketball and the NBA, with the point shaving, the gambling scandal here, a couple teams being investigated right now. He's a little bit worried about it. David, the way I would look at it is, it's something with human beings and the capital markets that we have. If people can make a bunch of money, you got to watch out. People are gonna look to get some angles here, and it's just something that kind of comes with the territory. I will say this, since PASPA passed and legal sports betting is now in the United States, I almost feel like the legalization of it has kind of helped this aspect, at least find it quicker. That's one thing I would throw out there. But I mean, some of the teams, just reading up on it, Temple, Loyola, Maryland, Eastern Michigan. The Temple was from last year, but it's just some teams. Yeah, when I go through the slate, I do look at it. I keep it in the back of my mind. Fresno State in particular, they actually suspended 2 players this past week. So that almost makes me think where there's smoke, there's fire a little bit. And sure enough, Fresno State has lost 10 straight. So that's a team where it would be fade only. I wouldn't be looking to bet on Fresno State. So those are some of the kind of angles I would go at that, David. But even more so, I almost think the referees are something to look into as well, because I think they can kind of be gotten a little bit in this type of, where we are with sports gambling and sports. But overall, David, it's kind of a tough handicap in itself. But if you see something, kind of try to put it in your pocket, if you would. That's the way I would go after it. But thank you for the question, David. We also had on Wednesday's show, Ross asked, what resources are available to rookie bettors to develop skills to outperform the market? Strategies for riding or breaking streaks with these teams. One thing I would throw out, Ross, and thanks for the question, is Ken Palm. I think it's like $20. It's one of the best buys you can get out there for college basketball. It's a great resource to just kind of start your everyday handicapping, in my opinion. It also has great tempo stats, things of that nature. So I would throw out Ken Palm. Also, Team Rankings is a resource that I use. And maybe most importantly is the team beat writers. Nobody knows these teams as good as the beat writers. And they're following the team, they're watching them play and in practice. So I try to get, I follow as many team beat writers as I can, both in college football, college basketball. And I use a lot of what they say in kind of my handicapping. Like if they make a quote like, oh, this team's looking to slow it down and get back on defense, man, that would be an under quote, or this team's looking to go more up tempo. Or you can get injury information as well from the beat writers. So those are three things where I would point you to go if you're new in the business. And then do I recommend or strategies for riding or breaking streaks? I'm a big, the trend is your friend in sports betting, in the stock market as well. The trend is your friend. If a team's winning games, look to be betting on them. If a team's losing games, look to be kind of fading them. So I would throw that out to you. And he also asked, do I recommend large spreads? Sports betting to me, Ross, is something where you can't be betting how you were 5 years ago. It's like, oh, I don't bet large favorites, or, oh, I only bet, underdogs, something of that nature. No, it's always different game to game, man. I wouldn't cross off certain games just because of a point spread. I would kind of pump the brakes on going into like the 175, on totals, just because you need such a clean ride. But overall, no, I don't cross anything out just because of the number on the game, other than the number in relation to the teams. But no, just because they're a large favorite, I wouldn't cross them off the list. But great questions, Ross. We had Tuesday's show, Barry asking, do I think St. John's has a shot to win the NCAA tournament? Well, Barry, yeah. I mean, I would put them in the top 15 almost, year in, year out. I would say 15-ish teams have a chance to win the national championship, and it varies year to year. Do I think they will win it? Well, there's a lot of teams that could win it. No, probably not. But, yeah, I think they have a shot. I mean, first off, they got Rick Pitino as the head coach. That's usually a big plus. They're an up-tempo team that's one of the best defensive efficiency teams in the country. I like that profile. Teams that go fast and play good defense. So, yeah, I think they have a shot. I like them more in the Big East Conference if you're looking for a future for St. John's to win the Big East Conference. Saturday's show had Kenny asking, can you explain the difference between -4, -4.5, etc.? Kenny, sure, -4 if you're betting a favorite, -4, and the game lands 4, so like 84 to 80. You would push on that. Whereas if you were laying 4.5, you would actually lose that bet because there's a half a point there. And it'd be the same way the other way. If you were saying +4 and the game finished 84 to 80 and you were betting on the team that lost the game, you would actually push that. Whereas if you were catching 4.5, you would win that bet. So, the extra half points on these numbers, very important. Thank you for the question, Kenny. Megatron saying, what are my thoughts on live betting? Well, Megatron, I try to live bet when possible when I'm watching these games, and I think I see an angle. It's hard to do content on it because it has to be live. But yeah, I'm a big fan of live betting. And one profile I like to bet, like in speaking to laying a big number, if I don't want to lay the big number with the favorite, sometimes I'll watch the beginning of the game. And if they get off to a slow start, just because they're missing some shots, not due to the actual defense, at least in my eyes, I would then try to bet on that favorite when they're down at a better number. That's one thing I'd like to do with live betting. And last question here from last Wednesday's show, does change in tip time affect the handicap? And last Wednesday's show, I believe Temple was playing and we bet the over. It ended up going to overtime and cashing the bet. So we kind of got fortunate. But this is a great question because, yes, actually tip time could affect the handicap, particularly when betting totals. Also, with a road team with an early start, if the tip time changes, I don't necessarily want to be betting overs as much. If they were supposed to play an afternoon game and then it tips early, I just think college kids have a little bit, it takes them to get going in the morning. If you remember when you were 18 to 24 years old, the late night games don't affect my handicap as much as, because some people will say, oh, they're on the West Coast playing a late night game that might hurt them. I don't think so. I think it hurts college kids more when they have to play early. So I would use that in my handicap. So thank you for the questions, guys. We got the last game for the show here. Fremont Cannon Trophy, Nevada and UNLV. It's 11 o'clock Eastern Friday night, Fox Sports 1. Try to be quick with this, guys. Try to keep the shows under 10 minutes. Not going to make it here. But we're heading to the Thomas & Mack Center, Las Vegas, Nevada. It is Nevada -1.5 as the road favorite, 134 being the total. Nevada comes in 16-12, 8-9 in the Mountain West. UNLV 15-13, 9-8 in the Mountain West Conference. I look at this discrepancy in terms of home road dichotomy, 3-6 for Nevada on the road, whereas UNLV 10-5 at home, even though it hasn't been the best season for Kevin Kruger's team. Slow pace, solid defense. They've won 4 of their last 5. Jalen Bedford, their backup point guard. He gets a lot of time at the guard position as well. He's been playing more point guard due to injuries, and he can score the basketball. So I think in the short term, actually UNLV might be a bet on. In Nevada, they've struggled from the free throw line, under 70% for them. So I think UNLV wins it at home. Fremont Cannon Trophy. We are on the running Rebels of UNLV +1.5 with the home dog barking. And the first bet for Friday, UCLA Purdue, we're going under 141. So that's going to do it for the Friday show. We'll be in early Saturday and Sunday show. Guys, come back and join us for some college basketball picks right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. I am Drew Martin checking out. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Thanks for tuning in. Comment below. Cash those tickets.